Hello everyone, I'm Eddie Riccardi, your real estate and relocation specialist in Lisbon, Portugal. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the big elephant in the room. Is now too expensive to live in Lisbon? My team and I receive messages every day from people just like you, thinking of moving to Portugal. And we love it. Be that in a month or a year from now, it's never too early to start planning. Click on the link below and schedule a Zoom call with us so we can further discuss how we can assist you and your family with relocating and investing in Portugal. So let's start with the main topic of conversation, rental prices. How high are they? How is it affecting everybody's day-to-day life? How is it affecting everybody's budget when they're moving to Lisbon? And why is it that everybody's coming and staying? I like to, in this video, to really go and talk about it as a general picture of the cost of living in Lisbon currently, and why it is that rent is just one of the main expenses that somebody would when living somewhere. And it's very important to look at the overall picture before making any assumptions and following what it is that those headlines are talking about. So let's go over step by step some of the items that are important when making the decision if Lisbon perhaps it is or not too expensive for you. It is important to mention that this increase in percentage hasn't affected the purchasing power in Lisbon currently. This has very much to do with the high influx that we're having with foreigners moving into Lisbon, looking for short-term rental, medium-term rentals, or even long-term rentals, which has led us to have a short supply and increased demand. And some places we're seeing upwards of 20+% on rent increase within the last year. However, for purchases, this is not quite the reality. We've been seeing normal prices of appreciation within Lisbon these days ranging from anywhere from 4 to 8% a year, which is quite common these days in most major centers in Europe and worldwide. Let's say like most of our clients, you're coming from the United States, from the states of California, state of New York, or Canada, Northern Europe. Lisbon prices are not even close to what some of the rent prices on these places are. However, it does affect a lot with the locals in a way that prices have increased. This is a reality. Some places, as mentioned, upwards of 20+% in the last year. If you're moving from somewhere, which is really what's happening here right now, and want to live in a prime location, we are seeing one of the highest rent prices within the European continent. But it's important to really look when you're making a decision to move somewhere, hence the importance of having a team, a relocation team to really guide you to make sure the numbers make sense, is to have an understanding of the full picture, the cost of living in a place besides rental costs. We don't need to go very far. We really have to compare Lisbon with other international cosmopolitan cities, such as London, such as Amsterdam, Paris, Madrid, Barcelona, Athens. All of those cities post-pandemic, post the world change on people's lifestyle, have seen increase on cost of living, on rental prices. And that really have to do with demand of the freedom that people are having now to move to highly desirable places that are great to live year-round. People are coming to Lisbon for a reason. There's a lifestyle, there's a way of living. And due to this, I would say, amazing way of living, it is now more challenging, more difficult to find a place to rent. But just going back to the last point, buying has not seen the same changes. So with this said, I find it very important when you're moving, and if you can purchase as opposed to renting, this could be a way to bypass this high rent that we're experiencing now, right? Recommend to a lot of our clients is to come in for a few months first, try it out, check different neighborhoods, and if you're ready to buy, this is a time to do so, because right now, due to interest rates being high, the increase of pricing of real estate in Lisbon although it's increasingly going up, it's going in a much healthier rate, with most neighborhoods seeing between 4 to 8% price increases within the last year. People are arriving in Lisbon and in Portugal every day now to make this place their home, and they're staying. So why do you think this is? Right? Even with what the headlines are saying, with the reality that prices have gone up in Lisbon, as it has everywhere else in most places in the world. I shouldn't say everywhere else in the world, because I'm not really following every market. But this is a reality in many places. I follow the Canadian market, I follow Vancouver, I follow Toronto. I see huge increases of price in the cost of living and the cost of rentals. So Lisbon is not outside of that reality from desirable cosmopolitan places around the world. But one thing that is very important to think and to consider at this point, why is it that people are still coming and people are staying and making this their home? It's normal when you move in somewhere to put so much focus on the housing and the housing costs. We all need a roof over our head. We all need a home. We all want to start our life somewhere else, in a place that will feel happy, that will feel comfortable. But it is very important, as a relocation and real estate professional, and as any financial advisor would say, to keep your rental, your accommodation costs, your mortgage at max 30 to 40% of your income. And this is where Lisbon is still become a relatively affordable place to live. And that has to do with the quality of living, the standard of life that you have here with the income that you have. As mentioned, 30, 35, 40% max for rent. And yes, now we're looking at prices upwards of almost 2,000 euros a month for a nice one-bedroom apartment in Lisbon, upwards of 2,800 for a two-bedroom apartment in a nice neighborhood in Lisbon. It's important to mention, when I say in a nice neighborhood, those are rental prices in the most desirable regions of Lisbon, Portugal. So, if you do have a bit more of a limited budget, you have also to look at potentially exploring areas a bit outside of these areas that are highly desirable and that have a really high demand for it right now. Now let's look at everything else. And that's where the main difference on cost of living comes. When it comes to services, when it comes to food and beverage, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to schooling, when it comes to healthcare, this is where everything else is substantially cheaper in Portugal and in Lisbon than it is in other cosmopolitan, other major centers worldwide, including US, Canada, all over Europe. This is where Lisbon becomes much more affordable. When you think that you can have lunch for under 10 euros, that you can have a really nice dinner for 20, 25 euros a person, that including wine, that including desserts, that including coffee. When you think that you can have health insurance for way below 100 euros per person a month, for really good quality insurance. When you think that you can actually have free healthcare, free education, all of those options are possible. So really, when you think of all the options, that's where Portugal becomes more affordable. You got the high ticket item, the hot topic of the moment, which is housing. You get that out of the way, everything else on your day-to-day life, it's way more affordable here than it is in other places. As mentioned, health, education, entertainment, dining, concerts, all of those things that are the things that will bring you joy. Transportation, right? It's less than 40 euros a month in Lisbon to have a monthly transportation pass. That gives you freedom to take the tram, the elevators, the bus, the trains, really to move around the whole month for under 40 euros, right? To think that you can have a gym for 25 euros, a really nice club, like, with tennis, with paddle, with spa, for around 100 euros a month. That's really where the difference comes, where somebody who's been living now in Lisbon for 3 years, that's where the affordability comes. And as I have promised to you at the beginning of this video, here are some examples of real costs today, of cost of things, cost of restaurants, cost of food in a supermarket in central Lisbon, one of the prime areas of Lisbon. I want to share with you some a variety of cost to today's standards, just to show you the reality is still a relatively affordable place to live.
Let's start with some basic supermarket items like bread. Here you can see buns starting as little as 14 cents and whole loaves starting as little as 93 cents. Next, let's look at rice, out under €1.20 for a kilo of rice. And the same goes for beans, really at around 120 per kilo of beans. And next we're gonna look at pasta, another basic item in your pantry, for just a little over €1 per kilo, and flour for about 75 cents a kilo. As you can see, quite affordable items. And another basic that is important is milk for under €1 a liter. Another thing to look is vegetables. You see here tomatoes, a pack of tomatoes for under 160 and radishes for 60 cents. For protein, chicken breast at $6.59 a kilo and chicken thighs at $5.36 a kilo. And let's not forget beverages, with beer starting from 59 cents a can and bottles, liter bottles for $1.79. And wines, one of the things that is very important for us in Portugal, you can find decent wines for under €3 a bottle. You can't go wrong with that. And now let's talk about eating out. It is very typical in Portugal for bakeries to serve lunches. And on this one, located in Príncipe Real, you can see fish and meat courses is starting at €6.50. Moving to restaurants, this is the menu for Pica-Pau. It's a traditional Portuguese restaurant in Príncipe Real that it's quite unique, very charming restaurant with starter from 5 to 19 euros and main courses between 14 to 19 euros. Wine choices definitely starting from under 20 euros. And Tapisco, one of my absolute favorites, with starters between €8 and 24 and main courses between 14 and 55. And you can definitely find wines here for under 20 as well.
Now I want to share something with you, something from someone who have now been living here for 3 years and know a lot of people that have been living here for 1, 2, 3, up to 8 years, is that you will likely change the way you live, the way you spend money. We are not as, when I say we, people in Portugal, is not as materialistic as from the place that you're coming from, especially if you're coming again from Northern Europe, from the United States, from Canada, where we just have this part of our culture is to consume, to buy, to use more. What's in trend now? I need to be in trend. The competitive, consumist world that you're coming from, it's not the reality here in Portugal. And with time, you do become less consumist. You do become less interested about buying the newest trends, following everything, and more focused on spending your income, your funds into memories, into lifestyle, into this life that we live here that is very, very different from the life I lived in Canada and from the life that most of my friends and most of my clients have lived in the US, in other places of the world. So it's something that is hard to predict and hard to explain, but it is very, very likely that you change very much your spending habits when you live. And in my opinion, there's a reason for that. When you move here, you come seeking a different lifestyle, you're open to changes, and everyone around you is looking for the same changes, is looking to change their lifestyle in similar ways that you do. And you start to pay more attention again to your day-to-day experiences, to finding fulfillment and happiness on a daily life. You know, we do way more social things in the weekdays than we would in other places. And that does not mean going to a lavish dinner, going to a club. It could very much mean meeting in a place like I am right now in Jardim das Amoreiras and have a toasted sandwich, having a beer, a coffee, or having nothing, just sitting on a bench and catching up with friends. This is the difference here. We do all of those things. We enjoy the outdoors, the weather, the beautiful places that are available to us at little to no cost on a daily basis. We don't feel as much to compensate the struggles of the day-to-day life because they're lesser here. That really brings me also to the next topic, which is, I've spoken how services, food, wine, entertainment, transportation, all of those things can be much less costly here. But one thing that sometimes isn't is the cost of goods. When we compare to North America, especially, that's what I have. It's easier for me to compare. Cost of goods here tend to be higher. If you think appliances, electronics, many things that are consumer goods, you know, think of TV, cars are more expensive here. Clothing is hard to say because something that I'm realizing that some of the brands actually have special pricing for Portugal. The same brand be a price in Italy, but less in Portugal. And I think it has to do with the economy. I'm still trying to figure it out, but with clothing could be one or the other. But many consumer goods or imported items, luxury items, will tend to be more expensive here. However, these are the things that are not your primary expenses. These are selective expenses that you do. Oh, I really want this brand of this, and it comes from Sweden. I really want this that I get in the US. I really want this jam that is from the UK. Guess what? Those will have a higher cost here, but that's a small percentage of your spending budget every month. So that's just something to be cautious of. There are things still that are more expensive here, but I would say most of those things have to do with consumer goods. If you have already been following me and the content that we've been creating about life in Lisbon, you will have heard this word that I keep on repeating. It's lifestyle. And really it comes to not being a consummate society, not finding joy and happiness by buying things, by spending money. The Portuguese, the locals, I mean, I think probably the Southern European in general, they have mastered the finding of joy in the simple things of life, spending time with friends, spend time with family, going to the beach, hanging out in the things that are approachable and doable for everybody in a regular basis. So as we touch on that, I think it's important just to find that ending of this conversation about the elephant in the room, which is the fact that many are saying that Lisbon is now impossible and so unaffordable to live in, is that no, that is not completely true. Lisbon is still, for what it offers, for the high standards of living, a relatively affordable place to live. And you really, when budgeting, when thinking, could this be the city for me? Could be the city to my family? You have to look, yes, you have to look at housing, but you also have to put on a spreadsheet all of the other costs. And the reality is that Lisbon still offers a really high quality of living for a really affordable price. And something to consider. And obviously, thanks for watching us. Thanks for following us. Thanks for being our clients. Thanks for supporting us on this adventure of helping people move here the way I wish and we wish that we had when we moved here to Portugal. And without that said, please feel free to contact us at any time so we can further discuss how we can assist you and your family with relocating and investing in this beautiful country.